everybody, Douglas Blair Roberts here, the Super Vader 400, and of course the Brown Skin Human, coming back at you in another video. And this time, this is my intro, this is my second intro to my series of Disney Channel sitcom reviews, the late 2010s edition, the late 2010s sitcoms. There will be another intro video for the retro Disney Channel sitcoms, but this is the late 2010s right here, the late 2010s sitcoms, particularly Sydney to the Max, Cooper and Cammy Ask the World, Gabby Durant and the Incredibles, and Raven's Home. And I'm thinking about including Bunked, the newest season, the seasons 3 and 4 of Bunked, and the newest Disney Channel sitcom, Just Roll With It. These right here, these are remakes. These are webcam remakes of my narration reviews, where I go more in depth, talk more in depth about the actors, the actresses, and the sitcoms, the narration reviews, which those will be in the description box below for people who want to see those. Those were just short reviews giving my thoughts on these awesome series. This is me talking about these series after watching multiple episodes and their seasons in their entirety. So with that being said, let's get started right now. We can do what we want if we put our minds to it. Hey everyone, it's time for season 1, part 1 review, rant, and overview of my review of Sydney to the Max. For those of you who don't know, this is my new video style. First you'll see a narration version, then you'll see a quote unquote, for a 3-part, you'll see a multiple part off camera webcam version where I talk more in depth about what happens in each season, my favorite and best moments with one of the episodes from that season playing in the background. For copyrighted stuff, there will be nothing playing in the background. Also, speaking of for those of you who want to see my original versions from early 2021, we're doing it. This was supposed to be a review and overview and giving my thoughts on potential season 4 of Sydney to the Max. But according to Ruth Reed's Instagram post, the series was canceled and not returning for a season 4. Which angered me profusely. I'm still mad about that, and I've been in a foul mood ever since 2022 started. 2022 just started. It's already sucking, despite just starting, man. Despite just starting. But I'll rant more about that when we get to the end of this video series in part 3. This is, like I said, the positive. This is the start. Yeah. The episode that will play in the background is the Parent track. This is where Sydney to the Max started. This is where Sydney to the Max started in January 2019. I entered the franchise June 19th, 2020 during the much superior season 2. Season 1 was a good start, but I thought season 1 was weak and this season had one of the worst season finales of all time. Season finales of all time. I enjoyed all the episodes. Believe it or not, even though seasons 2 and 3 are vastly superior to this season, the episode plots of this season are way better than that of seasons 2 and 3, because at least in this season we get to see more of their life outside of home, and more of their life at school and other stuff which we don't get to see a lot of during season 2 and 3. 3 especially. But storyline wise, season 2 and 3 were vastly superior, even though the episode plots of this season are quote unquote way better. This season introduced us to everything. The plot, which is Sydney Reynolds and Maxwell Reynolds, daughter and father, going through the same problems in 2 different decades. It starts with Sydney, her best friend Olive, one of the only main characters who's not a member of the Reynolds family, Olive Rzolski, her friends Emmy, Sophia, and of course adult Maxwell Reynolds and Caroline Rhea as Judy in the present. Then it flashes back to the year in 1992 in seasons 1 and 2, in 1993 in seasons 3, and for the present 2019 and 20 for seasons 1 and 2, and 2021 for seasons 3. So anyway, what about this season right here? So then it flashes back to Max and his childhood Afro-American friend Leo Webb, portrayed by Christian J. Simon, and young Judy, where they use makeup to make Caroline Rhea look younger and put a blonde wig on her, whereas in the present she has her signature white hair. So when I saw this show for the first time during season 2, it was one of the coolest shows of all time. A show, and to this day it still is. It has the greatest premise for a sitcom, a situation comedy taking place in 2 different decades, two different quote unquote decades. The stars of this sitcoms are Ruth Reed portrays the main character Sydney Reynolds, young Jackson Dollinger portrays young Maxwell Reynolds, the other main character, and Ian Kessler portrays adult Max Reynolds. Caroline Rhea, the only other actress besides Ian Kessler who I recognize portrays Grandma and Mama Judy, Judy, Ava Coker, Girl Meets World star, who I didn't recognize because she had grown up, but I thought she looked familiar, portrays Olive Rozowski. Christian J. Simon, who I think voiced on The Amazing World of Gumball, portrays Leo Webb. Julia Garcia portrays their Filipino Cuban, Filipino Hispanic friend, Emmy Mendoza. What's the other girl? Oh yeah, and Amarillo Ray portrays their other Caucasian friend, Sophia, Max and Leo's other childhood friend from the 90s, Bucky, the resident joke character in the series, is portrayed by Brogan Hall. Hall. Don't remember the other actors and actress's name at the moment. One other character introduced during this season is the goofy pizza man Iggy, portrayed by Reed Shapiro. Reed Shapiro, who I thought was Jason Earls returning to Disney Channel. Jackson from Hannah Montana, but no, it was this guy. It was this dude guy. But anyway, so yeah. See, other gripes I have with season 1. Before I continue, the only things I don't like about this series, number 1, is atrocious ratings, because its ratings will lead to its cancellation. The ratings. This show should be one of the biggest and most popular shows ever, as is the other Disney Channel shows. But because of that horrible 2011, 2016, where people got fed up with Disney Channel, they left and need to get this watch and see this awesome legendary show right here. It's piss poor ratings, viewership, and Disney's horrible treatment of the show. Number 2, barely showing it when it was on. Barely showing it when it was on. Number 3. And number three, horrible laugh track. But at least some of their jokes are funny, and some of it is a live studio audience. It is recorded in front of a live studio audience with a laugh track telling them to laugh. 4, can't sling the show early. In my opinion, it should have ran longer than what it is. This one I expected to. It should have ran longer than what it was, and it didn't. Now, yeah, so with that being said, let me start the episode right now and talk about my favorite and best moments and other stuff I didn't like about this particular season right here.
For 2 minutes, which means I don't even have time to say what I'm saying
Season
right now.
1.
So can we go? Please?
Another thing I didn't like about this season was in both plots, the A and B plot, both Sydney and Max keep wanting to do something, but their legal guardians forbid it. But they go behind their back and do it anyway and get caught and punished in the end. And that repeats itself throughout this season, and it gets annoying. I understand they're 11, 12, and 13 years old this season. They're 12 and 13 years old. They're 12 and 13 years old this season. But I was kind of mature for my age, and I learned at a younger age to stop trying to pull the wool over your legal guardian's head. It's not going to work. They're going to find out and eventually bust and ground you and punish you in the end, man. You'll never win with them. A lesson I had to relearn several years later, a lesson is problem I have with them later. So, like I said, you never truly quote-unquote win. You never truly quote-unquote win with them. And that's the issue I have here. In season 2, you see much more growth. Season 2 and 3, you see much more growth and maturization, and that's why I enjoy those seasons much better than this season right here. Also, the kid actors and actresses this season, the kid actors and actresses this season were quote-unquote, the kid actors and actresses this season, they were good, they were better than most kid actors, but situation comedy centered around kids are terrible. I prefer teenagers and adults. Situation comedy centered around kids are atrocious, man, because they're usually bad actors. These actors and actresses are phenomenal, but you can still see they're like new to the series. There's lots of overacting and lots of bland acting, and so yeah, I'm like, when I see the overacting, I'm like, dude, calm down. And when I see the bland acting, I'm like, you're trying too hard. So other than that, decent start. Despite being the weakest season in my opinion of the three, it did have the most entertaining number of episodes. I discovered this season by accident. Like I said, I started doing season 2 one night during reruns. They showed the episode The Parent Track, which you're watching in the background, which you're quote unquote watching in the background right now, The Parent Track. They showed this episode, and I thought it was one of the coolest ever. And I found a website to rewatch this show anytime I want. I do that with all my programs and movies. And I wanted to watch this again, and I wanted to rewatch this again. And I kept checking during season 2 and couldn't find it. That was because this was a season 1 episode. Then I decided to check in season 1, and there it was, The Parent Track. This episode right here, The Parent Track, is not only one of the best episodes of season 1, it's one of the best episodes, period. I enjoyed every episode, even the weaker ones. But this episode right here, The Parent Track, was the best. This is where the first time where both the A and B plot were exciting. Usually the 90s plot with Max and Leo is more exciting. Max's perspective is more exciting than Sydney's perspective. But there are times where Sydney's plot is better, or they're both equals in this one. Both of these plots, one involves Sydney, Max and Sydney going behind their parents' back to do something at an old theater place. In the present, it's a 16 Oranges concert that Sydney wants to go to alone, but Max forbids her, so she goes along anyway when she finds out Max is tracking her and doesn't trust her to get even with them. In the B plot, Max gets a beeper and lets it go to his head, and he sneaks to that same theater place Sydney snuck to in the present to see a Jurassic Park parody. Park parody is caught and grounded at the end by Judy, by quote unquote Judy, who ambushed and busted them there at the theater. Iggy the Goof of Pizza Man is introduced in this episode, and I thought this was Jackson Stewart, Jason Earls from Hannah Montana, and Rudy from Kicking It returning to Disney Channel, but it was someone else named Reed Shapiro, who's a decade one to two decades younger than Jason Earls. Jason Earls did return, but he returned in another 2019 show, and just roll with it. Then you got this episode also had the most hilarious ending ever, where Max, quote unquote, punishes Sydney by taking her and Olive back to the 16 Oranges concert and doing several embarrassing dances like the wave with the other adults, embarrassing Sydney and Olive, embarrassing quote unquote Sydney and embarrassing Sydney and Olive, embarrassing Sydney and Olive, and embarrassing Sydney and Olive. Embarrassing Sydney. It was hilarious. I wish I got that punishment when I got in trouble. Episode 4, Adventures, Misadventures in Babysitting. Misadventures in quote unquote babysitting. Misadventures in Misadventures in quote unquote babysitting. Awesome episode. This episode right here introduced me to the episode Adventures in Babysitting. Adventures of the Babysitting film franchise. Because Full House episode had a plot similar to this, where Sydney and Olive had to babysit some snot-nosed kid for extra cash. This is also one of the many times the A plot was better than the quote unquote B plot. Sydney and Olive had to choose between babysitting their crush Zach Thompson's kid brother Dylan, or hanging out with Zach Thompson and his cool friends cool 8th grade friends disobeying his mother, who said, disobeying his mother, Mrs. Taylor, who said, no friends over, no friends over. All of it, Sydney eventually, quote unquote, all of it, Sydney eventually, quote unquote, choose the, quote unquote, eventually choose the right thing in the end when Max shuts down the party. These 2 episodes were probably the best episodes ever, especially the Parent Trap. Then you got episode 15, There's Something About Zach Thompson, which this episode is a direct sequel to The Adventures in Babysitting, where the Zach Thompson character returns again. Zach Thompson is one of my all-time favorite recurring characters. Well, he's not in season 2 because he was an 8th grader this season, which means he's in 9th grade in seasons 2 and 3, which depict 8th grade, which depict 8th grade. However, I was looking forward to maybe his brief return in season 4, if there was a season 4, but it wasn't going to be. But yeah, him and his mother, who Max has a crush on, and Dylan were some of my favorite reoccurring characters. And then you got the next episode, Nightmare on Elm Street, the iconic Nightmare on Elm Street. This is the most iconic episode of season 1 because this episode is the first time via dream sequence 2020's modern day 2019, 2020 characters meet characters from the 90s, 1992. Sid and Olive meet young Maxwell Dillon and Leo Webb. And this was Jackson Dollinger, who portrays young Maxwell Reynolds' favorite episode to shoot this season. What a phenomenal episode this season. But what a phenomenal episode this was. And in my opinion, they can never do something like this again. A cool dream sequence. Sydney gets embarrassed in class during a PowerPoint video presentation. Which shows her playing with her stuffed animal giraffe, which she named Ricky Angelo. The crowd laughs and Sydney flees to school in embarrassment and promises to never return to school again. She goes to sleep watching goofy videos of her dad and Leo as kids doing goofy stuff, and it flashes back to the 90s with 90s clothes and technology. And she accidentally messes up Max's stunt, quote unquote Max's stunt, and Max wants to flees the school in embarrassment, and promises to never return again. So Sydney and Olive have to convince Max not to move out, who Max foolishly wants to move out and move to California, which he foolishly believes is only a couple of blocks down from his house. And not several states away. Sydney and Olive trying to get Leo to help. Leo at first tries to help, but then decides he has to stick behind. He has to keep his friend Max out of trouble. So then Sydney reveals that she's from the future, and if Max moves away, everything will get messed up. And Max agrees to try to skateboard stunt over again. He fails again, but he agrees to dust himself off and keep going. Yeah, like I said, one of the greatest episodes ever, the most iconic episode. Then you got the season 1 finale, the best and worst episode ever. It's the worst episode because of the way the 90s plot ended. But it was the best episode because I can relate to the plot, and a lot of recurring characters like Mr. Tanaka, their Asian history teacher, returns in this episode. He made his debut in Nightmare on Elm Street. Sophia's mother, I think, makes her debut. Sophia's mother, Angela, makes her debut in this episode. And Sophia returns. This is one of the first times Sophia appears without Emmy, who, one thing she probably should have been in this episode. The A plot was okay, but it was the B plot that I really had a problem with. Vice Principal Monty took Max's skateboard because he thought Max was riding it on school property when Max was just holding it so nobody would steal it. Nobody would quote unquote steal it. Grandma Judy, I can relate to this. When Max tells Judy what happened, Judy doesn't believe him, and forcing Max to come up with a plan to go in there and steal it himself. I did a plot like this, and I got away with it. Judy then decides she does believe her son and decides to go pick up the skateboard. But at the end of the episode, takes it from Max because Max was sneaking into the office, which he only did because you wouldn't help him the first time. That was the issue I had with that plot. I semi got away with it. I got my other action figures back, but I didn't get the other two back that the teacher stole earlier that year. Earlier that year, in retaliation for going and stealing quote unquote stealing my two men. But I would not have had to do that. First off, the teacher, she took them for a bogus reason. They were at school, but they weren't out. A person snitched on me, and the teacher had me open the bag and take them. So I decided to quote unquote steal them. But parents not helping me here has been a long list of reasons why I don't get along with my parents and really don't like hanging out with my parents as an adult. Because of BS like this. So while being one of the worst episodes ever, I like it because I can relate to it. I also love Max's attire in this episode. The sweater, the cool skater look, the sweater khaki trunks, and high top Chuck Taylor All-Star sneakers is awesome. I have a costume similar to that with tape.
I'm sure that she's fine. She can take care of herself. Are you eating?
Yeah, pizza.
What else?
What? She's on the move again. I bet she's headed to a concert.
All right, keep me posted.
What else plot was in here? Oh yeah, then you got the A plot. Then you got the B plot. You got the B plot. Oh yeah, then you got these were the best episodes. Now for the second and third best, you got the Can't Dye This, where both Sydney and Max go behind their parents' back and dye their hair. The opening episode, the pilot episode of the series. Then you got the next one, Who Let the Dogs Out, where the second dog from Dog with a Ball, Kuma guest stars in this episode. Then you have episode 5, Shave My Legs, Shaved by the Bell, which was an okay episode. Then you have episode 6, I Know What You Did Last Summer, where Max and Leo fight for the first time, and Sydney and Olive fight for the first time. And nearly in their friendship. This episode right here was the weakest. There were several funny moments, but it annoyed me. We had episode 7, The Lion King, another great episode. Not gonna talk much about the plot. Then you got the iconic feminist episode. You got Female, a great episode. Then you got As Bad As She Gets, which in my opinion, this episode was weak. But we got to see adult Leo for the first time. And his son had a main antagonist role in the Raven's Home episode. What About Your Friends, Booker, the vaping episode. And then you have the dancing episodes, Dancing La Vida Loca, another great episode. Then another great episode called Nothing But a Dance Thing, which is an obvious parody of the titles, an obvious parody of Dr. Dre's song Nothing But a G Thing. And then you got Can't Hardly Date, Never Been Pierced Before, and Good Grade Honey, the art episode that introduces Mrs. Harris, and she returns in the piercing episode, in the quote-unquote piercing of episode, and Dude, Where's My Car Wash Money? So as you can see, like I said, season 1 had the best number of episodes, in comparison to season 2 and 3, but season 2 and 3 as storylines were vastly superior. So yeah, this was my review of season 1.
Okay, just stick to the truth.
Get ready for season 2. Once again, to watch my previous versions, the links will be in the description box below. Alright, get ready.
Remember what you did last Tuesday?
Hey everybody, it's time for the second part of my Sydney to the Max overview review and rant. It's time for my opinion, what I consider the best and most exciting season, and that was season 2 of Sydney to the Max. After rewatching this series again for this review and several other videos, this is the most exciting season for Sydney to the Max. 2020, the lineup of shows, along with Sydney to the Max, lineup of shows and movies and cartoons along with Sydney to the Max was the best Disney Channel lineup and schedule ever. And Sydney to the Max season 2 and various other shows made summer of 2020 an awesome year. It went downhill when we got to the fall of 2020, and 2021 was weaker, and now we're in 2022, the worst year, which will probably be the worst year ever this year. But there was a lot of good stuff. Yeah, there was a lot of great stuff this season. This is why I entered the series, and I'm glad I did. Sucks I was late, but better late than never. And at least I started here, because this was way better than season 1. The characters, the actors and actresses were older and much more mature. They were much more comfortable in their roles, and the characters were older and mature this season. You got to see them really grow from what they were in the first season. This season also introduced 2 new characters, Alicia and Harry, who would have big parts in the following season 3. Season 3. The episode that will play in the background is one of the first episodes I saw, and it was on its premiere date, and that was my best friendship's ending. That episode will play in the background. That is the first episode of Sydney to the Max. That is one of the first episodes of Sydney to the Max I've seen, and if I had to choose, probably the best. So with that being said, let's get started right now. I'm going to give you my favorite and best moments from this season.
Still never get this. Wait a second. Pirates are here.
Yeah, where was I? Oh yeah, season 2 of Sydney to the Max.
That was amazing.
Season 2.
What can I say? 2 people, 1 mind.
Yeah, where was I? Oh yeah, season 2 of quote unquote, season 2 of Sydney to the Max. Season 2 of Sydney. So yeah, season 2 of Sydney to the Max. So yeah, I enjoyed every episode from 1 through 20, from 1 through 21, but this is my favorite and best. These were my opinion the best episodes. First, it started off with Night at the Museum, where Max, fed up with Sydney missing curfew multiple times, grounds Sydney just in time for the one and only pop-up cake museum. Sydney throughout the episode tries to persuade her father from letting her go, but Sophia's father forces Max to not back down on the punishment to make Sydney better respect his rules. Love this episode because Sydney finally is grounded and punished. Sydney Reynolds is one of the best Afro-American female protagonists in a long time. But quote unquote, I hate how arrogant, rude, and disrespectful and preachy and pretentious she is at times. I hate the way she treats Max. Wish I had a dad as cool as Max. A similar issue will be in season 3 episode Cool Intentions, but we'll save that for season 3. But so I love Sydney finally getting punished here in this episode right here. B-plot was atrocious. We're not even going to discuss it. Then you had episode 6, quote unquote episode 6, episode 6. Girls to Women, the most popular and most iconic episode of Sydney to the Max, is this clip on YouTube, which has comments on it, has the most comments and the most views of any Sydney to the Max video on YouTube, and that of course is the very iconic and controversial Period episode. Yes, this episode was one of the first Disney Channel shows, as the second, but one of the first to tackle a quote-unquote period. And I love the message in both the A and B plot, with friends, family being there for one another. Emmy, Olive, and Sophia were there, and adult Max and Judy were there for Sydney in the present, and in the past, Leo and Grandma Judy were there for Max when the bully Judy Mason hijacked Max's underwear and threatened to reveal him to the school if Max didn't give up his skateboard.
Whoa! Bucky just walked in wearing Sky Johnson! Those are the flyest basketball shoes in the world. They even make Bucky look cool. Bucky. Hey, Bucky. Sweet kid.
So,
Did you watch Rant today?
So, yeah, what else? Oh, yeah. Then you had episode 7.
I'll never forget this moment as long
Baby,
as
one more rhyme. A plot was kind of weak. The only cool things about this plot was Iggy, the goofy pizza man, returned in this episode and had a major role. And Sydney performed the song "Find My Own Way" for the first time. The other most memorable thing about this season was Sydney singing and performing her first song in this episode right here. This self-created song, solely created for this series, and the next one was better than Ruth Ree's actual singing career in real life, her actual songs in real life. But the B plot stole it, where it was up to where Max and Leo, in danger of being in detention, they had to go to an after-school club, so they decided to start an after-school rap club. No one except Bucky would want to join, and after Max busts out a hilariously bad rap, Bucky crosses his name off the list. So Max and Leo come up and get dressed in hip-hop clothing and start dissing each other, and start quote-unquote dissing each other in order to get people to join. This works, but then they're forced to drop the club because they realize if they want to keep the club alive, they got to keep dissing each other. So they decide to take up sewing instead. I'm mad that no one has uploaded the iconic scene with these two guys rapping and freestyling on each other. It was hilarious. I may have to upload that scene one day. But yeah. Then you had episode 8. Mrs. Harris Apus. Mrs. Harris Apus, where in both the A and B plot, Mrs. Harris, their art teacher, takes them to the Portland Annual Art Museum in both decades. Both plots were good, with the B plot being superior. I like how it set up the resolution of the A plot. In this plot, one of Max's childhood friends, Pete, the Indian character Pete, we get to see who he is in the present, where he has a big role in both the present and a small but important role he has a big role in the past and a small but important role in the present, in the quote-unquote present. I also like this episode because we see a different side to Maxwell Reynolds. As Jackson Dowling would put it, this is one of his favorite episodes to shoot this season. In this series, Max is usually a carefree, devil-may-care, troublemaking, rebellious teen. In this episode, he was well behaved, and Grandma Judy was the one causing problems. And he was also, for once, the more mature one and straight person, in comparison to Leo, where Leo started off doing the right thing, but then ended up carrying on and misbehaving like everyone else did when he saw the painting that looked like a butt. So yeah, Mrs. Harris Apus. Then you got episode 9, in my opinion, one of the best episodes of this season. One of the rare times the A plot, the 2019 through 21 plot, is better than the B plot, the 90s plots. Usually the 90s plots are always superior. But in this plot, Sydney's story was superior. Sydney, who joined the fencing team in episode 2, the fencing team returns here with different members. One of them is led by the leader is Chloe, who is portrayed by Allison Fernandez, who is one of the main characters of the Disney Channel 2020 summer fantasy film Upside Down Magic. She portrays the character Pepper, she portrays Chloe here. I thought she looked familiar when I saw this for the first time, but I couldn't put my finger on it. But that's who she was. Then her hilarious sidekick Dylan, who they call Doc, because she fell off a dock. They like giving her hilarious nicknames, and that's Doc. They like giving her hilarious nicknames. She likes giving people hilarious nicknames. There were a lot of funny moments in this episode. Sydney's bonding with her fencing team buddies, but also has to keep bailing on her actual friends who she made plans with, and this leads to several mishaps and ultimately leads to her quitting the team. But Chloe convinces her to stay on the team and convinces her that when she joined the fencing team, she lost her old friends, but then she realized her old friends weren't real friends, but Sydney's friends. All of them assure Sydney they're her real friends and they're not going anywhere.
We are the same size. How do you know that? Please.
Go anywhere. Love the moral. Just because you adopt new activities and new goals doesn't mean you have to forsake, or it doesn't mean you have to drop your old friends. So I love the moral here. Yeah. B plot was the stereotypical the Max character wants to do his daily activities, but something is preventing him from doing his daily activities, and as such, so he wants to spend time with his best friend, so he tries to do something his best friend wants to do. Max at first is committed to it, but once his activities become available again, he comes to a plan to tank his audition and bail on his best friend to go do the activities he wants to do, and his best friend bosses him at the end, but they make up. It was a good plot, but we've seen that before, and the A plot was just so superior. Then you got episode 11, Slurping with the Enemy. This episode was even better. A plot was bad, but it was the B plot, where Max and Leo, who work at the Just Funny Games arcade, Leo's dad, we see Leo's dad and the owner of the Just Funny Games arcade for the first time in this series, where he tasks Leo and Max to go to the laser track place to see if it's competition. Max and Leo have a great time there, but Leo realizes the place could put his dad out of business. So Max comes with a plan to get Leo to lie. And say the place was lame. However, Judy and Mr. Webb, Leo's dad, busted him at the place, and Leo's then revealed that Leo reveals that he lied in order to protect his dad, and his dad reveals that if his place is so good, he'll just have to buy the place. He only sent him there because to see if the place was a good investment. It turns out it wasn't. This plot ends with a friendly game of laser tag. Then you got, where I came into the series. What's my grade again? One of the greatest episodes ever. And I love this episode because I can relate to it. Not only was the episode funny in both plots, with the 90s plot being better and funnier, but this episode tackled an attention deficit disorder. It deals with both Emmy and Max who have trouble focusing and have a bad habit of spacing out. I had this problem when I was in school and still have it today, several years later in my daily activities. Attention deficit disorder, ADHD. Great episode. This is the actual first episode to the Max I saw. They showed them June 19, 2020 in a marathon format leading up to the actual premiere, which was my best friend's ending. But anyway, this episode right here, Emmy is in danger of failing the 8th grade because she has to turn in a bunch of her assignments. Olive, Emmy, and Sophia clean up her room and find all of her assignments and turn them into Mr. Tanaka. Mr. Tanaka gives her full credit, but that's not enough to pass the class. So Emmy comes up with the plan. So Mr. Tanaka tells her that she has to at least get a B on the final if she wants to pass. During this moment, they do the hilarious Mr. Tanaka, favorite teacher. And then when Mr. Tanaka does it again later, he says, favorite teacher. He says, oh, we're done with that? Okay. And so Emmy tries to study but just can't focus. So my teachers had to do this for me. Teachers and friends had to do this for me. In order to make learning simpler and easier, they turned the material for the test into a game show, into a quote-unquote game show, It's here where Emmy gets the material and also reveals she has an ADHD disorder and convinces me she's not going to give her extra time. Her courage inspires Bryce, who returns from the sister pack and has a bigger role in the next episode I'm about to talk about. To quote unquote speak up to the next episode to speak up to. In the B plot, Max and Leo is the end of the year, they're superlatives, and Bucky is giving about Bucky won best secret keeper and tells Leo he won most likable, and he tells Max he won best space cadet. Max doesn't like it, and in one hilarious moment, Max votes for various reasons why he should get something other than space cadet, and both him and Bucky space out, to which Leo had to remind him that he doesn't space out. That was an ultra hilarious moment. This episode also contained the Money Gag, which started in Baby One More Rhyme of the Bucky the joke, Bucky the loser joke. Whenever Bucky does something before or better than someone, everyone says, they gave it to Bucky. Bucky? Yes, Bucky. That joke continued here. So Max, he tries to go for class clown. However, Bucky keeps upstaging him. To which Judy repeats the joke again. He said, "Did you win class clown?" Max says, "No, they gave it to Bucky." And then Judy says, "Bucky, yes, Bucky." And then Judy comforts Max on how Space Cadet is not a bad name. It's not a quote unquote bad name. It is good to be nominated for something. Good to be nominated for something. In that Space Cadet doesn't mean he's dumb. It just means his mind is somewhere else when someone else is doing something. So yeah, Space Cadet. The episode Crush Hour, the summer themed Crush Hour. Three interesting things about this episode. One, this was the last episode produced for season 2. So the characters look older here than they do in the series finale. That's because the series finales, even though they chronologically come later, were shot before this. Next, Milo Mayhem's awesome We Own the Summer song plays in the background and in the credits. This is also one of the episodes that end in the past. Both the A and B plot were good, with the B plot being funnier, where Max and Leo try to come up with when Mr. Vivani is playing on leading, and Max and Leo try to come up with an end of the year prank that it is backfiring with first off with exploding chalk dust, and the chalk dust explodes in Max's face in the hallway, and Vice Principal Vivani, this teaches him to stand. Everyone comically throws stuff at Max at the end. Also in this episode, one of the Quattro brothers from Raven's Home's diss track episode guest stars in this episode here. Then you got the next episode 14, Barbara Reynolds. This episode really wasn't all that good too. I would actually say this was the weaker of the first episodes I saw. The only interesting things about this episode is one, Max Trina, who portrays Ramon, Tessa's boyfriend in Raven's Home, and is Andrade's in Upside Down Magic, one of the main characters of Upside Down Magic. He guest stars in this quote unquote episode right here. And this episode features a lake house, which is also featured in Cooper and Kimmy Ask the Worlds Would You Rather Rip Your Pants, and both these shows are produced by It's a Loud Production. So that shows that both these shows could be in the same universe, but we'll never know now. Then you got episode also this episode's before Max's parents, Judy and Doug, his father's name Doug, split up for the first time. This is before they split up. So that's an interesting thing. Then you got episode 15, the very awesome My Best Friends ending. Probably the greatest episode ever, where in both plots, friendships in the past, Max and Leo end their friendship over some new basketball shoes called Sky Johnsons, which are an honest pairing of Jordans, and the A plot, Amy and Sophia end their friendship over misleading text. Both plots were good, with the B plot being the B plot being B plot being funnier. Also, there was also a C plot involving adult Max, which was also ultra hilarious. Of the episodes I saw that day, this is probably, if I had to choose, this was the best. And this was the premiere, June 19, 2020. Yeah, I saw this on premiere day. Then the next one, Sing It On. At the time, I thought this was one of the weaker episodes, and plot-wise, it still is. Neither plot was all that good. It features Sydney leaving summer camp and not wanting to leave, and not wanting to tell her father that she's leaving her behind. Then in the B plot, Grandma Judy and Leo try to convince Max how cool summer camp was going to be, but Max is homesick and is a skater and doesn't want to go. Like I said, neither plot was good. There were a lot of funny moments. Another interesting thing about this episode is Sydney performs the song "Leave You Behind," her second song, and quote unquote Max. You get to see the Just Funny Games arcade in the present again. In the present, you ain't get to see adult Max there. It's cool to see adult Max working at the place he worked at as a kid. So, then you got episode 18, the very awesome video game episode where we get to see Olive's brothers. Both the A and B plots center around a video game competition. However, in this episode, we can see two of Olive's brothers, Josh and Rusty. Throughout the series, we're hearing about Olive's hilarious brothers, the hilarity and misadventures of her brothers. The only two we heard about was Sean and Owen, though. We get to see Josh and Rusty in this episode, in this awesome sibling rivalry episode that I can relate to. Throughout the episode, you're rooting for Olive. You're rooting for Olive because the brothers are assholes and dicks for no apparent reason. But then when you get to the end of the episode, then when you get to their plot, you can see why they're doing what they did. In the B plot, which was more hilarious. The A plot was better, but the B plot was more hilarious with Max losing to his mother in a racing car video game and losing his mojo to where he loses to Bucky. The Bucky jokes return here. So Grandma Judy and Leo come up with a plan to get Max's mojo back by throwing a game where Max accidentally regains his title without Judy throwing the game by distracting Judy with trash talk to the point where Leo says, "Good going, Judy. Have you going there?" And Judy says, "I didn't throw the game. If Max was as good as taking out the trash as he is talking it, we wouldn't have raccoons." And Max says, "Who wants to try me?" And Bucky comes and says, "I do." And everyone says, "Not you, Bucky," which was also another running ghost. Bucky constantly challenging people throughout the episode, and everyone's saying, "Not you, Bucky," and they did it. So then you got episode 19, and this was episode 18. This was the highest rated episode this season. Episode 19 with Sydney v. Terry. Plot-wise, nowhere near as good as the video game themed episode, but plot-wise was bigger. Plot-wise was bigger and more important than that episode because it introduced. It introduced the character. It introduced the character of Harry. It introduced the character of Harry, Sydney's childhood friend before he moved to England, where he briefly came back in this episode. He has a larger role in season 2. And Sydney develops feelings for him in this episode. B plot was better, but it had nothing to do with the A plot. That was Max and Leo running around the yard with walkie-talkies and coming into contact with aliens. Then you have the final episode to close out season 2, 13 candles. 13 quote-unquote candles. What a phenomenal episode where Alicia Reynolds, despite being dead, is the main plot point of both the present and the past. Where in the present she plans a scavenger hunt for Sydney and the family, and Olive before she died. And in the B plot, her childhood self, portrayed by young actress Cassidy Frayland, appears for the first time. So like I'm saying, season 2, what a phenomenal series of episodes. These were the best episodes. The other ones were okay, but not as good as this one with Look Who Grandma Judy's Rockin', which focuses on a potential love interest for Grandma Judy, and Rock the Float, Rock the Float, Rock the Float, Rock the Float were weaker episodes. Rock the Float, the A episode was the A plot was great and really dramatic, but the B plot had nothing to do with the A plot. That was the problem with that one. In the Look Who Grandma Judy's Rockin', neither plot was all that good. The B plot was better, but it was dropped in favor of another plot. Then you had the activist themed episode, Going Green. B plot with Leo and Max. 90s plot was awesome. A plot with Sydney was forced and cringe. Cringe. Then you got the Sister Pack. Great episode. It's just every other episode is better. Then you got Father of the Bride. The fencing team episode. Great episode. But the members in that episode are not the members in the Lunch Club. The Lunch Club members are better, by the way. But that's the issue I have with episode. That's the issue I have with the fencing team. And then you have the Father of the Bride. Then you have episode 1. How Sid stole Christmas, where you get to see Alicia for the first time. Episode is great. It's just too sad. But a great episode to open season 2. So yeah, that was in the entirety of season 2. This also had the best version of the Stay the Same intro. It stayed the same intro. So yeah, this was season 2, the best season ever. Get ready for season 3 coming next.
My belly button went from an innie to an outie. And now for the best part.
I told you how to pace yourself, but you never learned.
I think that was the best brunch yet. Sprinklers were such great hosts.
Yeah, they made me feel so at home. I accidentally told another guest, "Thanks for stopping by."
You know what? Everyone's hosted us.
Oh.
Next time that we host them,
Now it's time for the grand finale. It's time for the final part of my review, rant, and overview of Sydney to the
Wow,
Max.
cooking for the entire
Sydney
church
to the
congregation, that's a tall order. But I think we could pull it off.
We better. We have a saying back in Savannah. You throw a bad brunch, it'll be a loud brunch, child.
Sydney to the Max. Sydney, quote unquote, Sydney to the Max. This is season 3. Which unfortunately, this should have been my review of season 3 and my thoughts on the potential season 4 and what I want to see in season 4. However, with Ruth Reedy's Instagram post, it doesn't look like that's the case now. It was like this show, Sydney to the Max, unfortunately, is finished too, which I'm going to get to in the end. But right now, the good stuff. Season 3. While bigger, fatter, and better than season 2, in my opinion, it still wasn't as exciting as season 2 because 2020 for Sydney to the Max, summer of 2020 was better than summer and the entirety of 2021. But Sydney to the Max and Gabby Durant and Ian Cinnables, which aired back to back with each other, along with Raven's Home and Just Roll With It, and Bunk season 5, which aired at the beginning of 2021. Made 2021 an awesome year, but it was just weak in comparison to 2020. This season right here,
I don't know that Lexi's taught me
Sydney
enough.
to the Max. Sydney to the Max. It gave us more screen time and more storylines involving the character of Harry, who appeared early on in the series before departing the series. Then, quote unquote, Alicia Reynolds had a bigger role this season than she did the previous season. She was involved in more episodes, plots, and this season focuses on Max's crush with Alicia and him ultimately admitting his relationship to Alicia, which is of course depicted in the season and series finale, Any Given Sunday's Brunch, which you're listening to in the background. I chose that episode as the episode for this review portion right here. So, yeah, I enjoyed all the episodes, even the weaker filler one like Family By, Jingle, A Crush of Their Own, and Jingle and A Crush of Their Own. These were the three weakest filler episodes. They were great episodes, but they were quote unquote mostly filler and really didn't add much to the actual series and the storyline of Sydney to the Max. But I enjoyed them all. Let's start off with the best, the second best, and then the third best. First best, we're going from best to least. First best was episode 7, 8, 11, 12, 11, 12, 15, 15, 17,
I'm working my shift
15,
store, and my mom
15,
is taking
17,
I'll show you downstairs
19,
at this big shoe sale. Would you guys mind watching her for a bit? She's a handful, and you have twice as many
19, 20,
Alicia, this is a place of
19,
business,
20,
not a daycare
and
center.
of course, 19, 20, and I think 20, 20, quote unquote, 21, 21. So, yeah, the first ones was the hair, the first two were the hair project and the quote unquote,
I'm not ready for her.
bar mitzvah episode, the bar mitzvah planner. The hair project is interesting thing. This episode is not only interesting because this episode, I love this because it focuses on Alicia Reynolds. She have a big role. She's pretty much the main character in this episode. This is the first episode where Leo, Christian J. Simon, and Ava Coker, Oliver Zolsky are both absent for the first time this season. Leo, I don't know what Olive was doing, but Leo was filming the Disney Channel original movie remake Under Wraps. So this episode focuses on Max and Alicia, and Emmy also has a small role in this. Also, Maya Carter returns. Another interesting thing about this episode is the Kia Bunrise from Power Rangers Zeo and Turbo back in the day. Tanya from the Power Rangers, she makes her grand return to television in this episode. Even though I read that she's been in other stuff like Henry Danger. I don't watch Henry Danger, the Nickelodeon show. So this is the first project I've seen her in since Power Rangers. I've only seen her in various YouTube and internet clips at various Power Ranger and sci-fi conventions. But this is the first time I've seen her, and it was good and nostalgic seeing her back on Disney Channel. This was a great episode, and a great episode centered around.
Hi, Sydney, right?
Oh, yes. Hi, Lydia. Thank you for coming by.
Centered around
Welcome to Reynolds Rides. Can I get your free
centered around natural, centered quote unquote, centered around natural hair, centered around natural Afro-American female hair. So yeah, then
You got mango?
A plot was okay, but of course the B plot with Alicia and Max stole it. Then you got episode 8, the bar mitzvah planner, Christian J. Simon, Leo, and Oliver Zolsky's big return to Sydney to the Max. These episodes were great. These episodes right here were this episode right here was great. Not gonna talk much about the plots of both episodes. What I love about this episode is that in both episodes, and that in both A and B plot, just like with the Girls to Women from season 2, this episode focused on disappointment, but friends and family being there for one another, and helping that friend overcome disappointment and doing everything in their power to make that friend's dream come true that one day. That Max did that for Leo in the past plot, and Sydney, adult Max, Judy, and all of her friends and the rest of her family did that in the quote unquote A plot. A plot. One of the greatest episodes ever. That was a great weekend. Then you had episode 11. Episode 11, the very controversial Do the Right Thing activist themed episode. This was the Microaggressions episode. Earlier in season 3, I heard that microaggressions will be tackled this season. I didn't know what to think about that, man. Okay, dude, Sydney to the Max. We watch shows like Sydney to the Max to get away from the problems in real life. Do we really want to see those, quote unquote, and do we really want to see that in a sitcom? So I didn't know about that, and I was half right and half wrong. The B plot the A plot with Sydney and her friends was pure cringe. But the B plot, the 90s plot with Max, Leo, and Vice Principal Romani was awesome. I wish we could have saw more of it, but we had to make room for that crappy A plot. A plot. We got more in depth with the Leo and even the main antagonist, Vice Principal Money, who's pretty much the main antagonist of the series. He terrorizes the Reynolds in both decades, the 90s and the 2010s and 2020s. So we got more in depth with those two characters right there. We got more in depth with those characters right there. That's one thing I did like about this series right here. We got more in depth with those characters. I did like that. We got more in depth with those characters, and which gets on more of this plot. Then you got what I like to call the best and worst episode of this season, and that's Cool Intentions, where Grandma Judy and Sydney fight for the first time. The A plot was atrocious. It started off great, but it ended poorly. The B plot was phenomenal. The B plot was quote unquote phenomenal. Phenomenal, where we got to see the character Max grow up and mature. In the B plot, Grandma Judy came home to find a priceless vase that she made broken, and since she saw the basketball in the house, she immediately suspected Max of doing it. Max kept denying his involvement, but Judy thinks he did it and grounded him for the weekend where he's supposed to go see a Jurassic Park parody with Leo. Leo comes in to get him. Leo tries to prove his innocence by watching detective that he got from watching detective stories. But Judy, even though Leo manages to prove Max didn't do it, Judy doesn't believe him and sends Max back to his room, and Leo goes back home. Meanwhile, the next day, when Max's punishment is up, Max leaves the house and shuts the door, and the vibration of the door pushes the vase off the shelf, breaking it, and Max reveals that he didn't break it because he always goes out through the kitchen way to school, and it's revealed that Judy accidentally broke the vase, and she apologized to Max, and they reconcile in the end with Judy making it up to him by taking them both to see the movie. Taking them both to see the Jurassic Park parody movie on school day. I thought this was going to be a plot where Max did break the vase, but he'll keep denying his involvement until Judy busts him and grounds him at the end. I'm glad they didn't do that, but knowing the Maxwell character, I expect him to do that. A plot was atrocious with Sydney. The A plot was atrocious with Sydney lying, with Sydney taking advantage of her cool grandmother while her father Max was away with Leo for the weekend.
But thank you.
Taking advantage of her grandmother, Grandma Judy, by hosting a late night sleepover that Emmy won from winning a Nintendo Wii Dance Dance Revolution parody dance game that unlocked a private Ricky Angelo, the fictitious singer in that universe, a private concert, late night concert from private late night concert from him. So Grandma Judy, Sydney comes with a plan to lie to her grandmother about Olive and Sydney, about Olive and Emmy parents allowing them to stay here. The plot nearly works until Emmy accidentally blurts out the plan, telling her mother will never be cool with this, until Judy responds, "You mean but tonight, right?" And Emmy is not sure how to answer that, and Sydney and Judy immediately figures out what Sydney did and tells Emmy and Sophia, tells Emmy and Olive that she's calling her parents and tells Sydney to go to her room. So go to her room, and Sydney and Judy fight for the first time. Sydney, when she gets in her room, she said, "I thought you were cool. It turns out you're really not." Like, she is cool. You're the one who's not cool. Lying to your grandmother like that. Lying to your quote-unquote grandmother like that. And up until the end, refuses to admit what she did was wrong. And got off easy instead of her rightfully being grounded and punished this episode. Now it ends on something funny with Max bringing home a vase that he made with Leo, closing the door and the vibration pushing it off like it did in the 90s. But other than that, great episode. I especially love the B plot. That's why it's still here. And what's his name? We got episode 15. After episode 13, the next one, C to the Max took a brief break and came back in October. And the first episode that came back is the Halloween theme, the Hunt for a Rad October. A plot with Sydney and her friends was great, where Ned from the Sister Pack returns this episode. B plot was atrocious. Another interesting thing about this episode is Paxton Booth, Ollie from Cooper and Cammy Ask the World. makes an uncredited cameo as one of the trick-or-treaters in the A-plot at the end.
Thanks, Leo.
And
I'm pretty
yeah, then you got the next episode, Honey, I Shrunk the Fit. A-plot was okay, but it was the B-plot with Max trying to impress Alicia with fake muscles by putting multiple socks and clothes under his shirt to make his arms looks big. But Alicia immediately sees through it, but doesn't say anything because she didn't want to hurt his feelings. But they all reconcile and laugh at the end. Then the next episode, my cousin Lexi, where Sydney's cousin Lexi from Savannah, Georgia, comes to Portland, Oregon to hang out with Sydney for the summer. A-plot was okay, but it was the B-plot involving Max, Leo, and Alicia, which I can't remember what it was at the moment. Then the next episode was Praise Your Voice, where Sydney in the A-plot, Lexi sing for some church choir. Plot was okay, but it was the B-plot with Alicia wanting to enter a singing competition with her quote-unquote twin friends, but twin friends get sick, so Max and Leo have to take their place. Max and Leo are absolutely terrible, so Alicia decides to drop out with Max and Leo, convince and trick her into performing, and she's real great. Praise Your Voice. Then you got the next one, Pie Hard, which this episode is centered around pie. A-plot was okay, but it was the B-plot with where Alicia Reynolds and her younger sister Essence fight over last pie and going into a competition by thinking both can make the best, to see who can make the best pie for their mother, Maya Carter, Sydney's other grandmother on her mom's side, returns in this episode. In both, she makes a brief cameo at the end of the A plot, and she has a main role in the B plot. We see, just like Judy, she looks younger. Just like Judy, I forgot to mention that in the hair project, she looks younger. They use makeup and a wig to make her look younger in the quote-unquote 90s. Anyway, in this episode right here, Pie Hard. So yeah, I told you the plot with Leo and Max serving as judges for the pies. All of their pies tasted, both the girls' pies tasted great, and Maya is impressed with their enthusiasm and apologizes for not teaching them the recipe and teaches each of them how to make pie. How to quote unquote make pie. It was good seeing Essence's sister, so we won't see more of her because the show unfortunately ended. But then you got the final episode, Any Given Sunday Brunch. What a phenomenal episode and series finale. A-plot with the brunch was a great plot and a great send-off to the series, but once again, it was the B-plot with Max, Leo, and Alicia in Essence.
Here's the thing.
Alicia in the B-plot, Alicia asks Leo if Essence if they can babysit Essence at the arcade. Leo says this is a place of business and tries to say no, but Max cuts him off and says yes, we can do it. And Leo criticizes Max and says, Max, why'd you do that? I can't believe you gotta watch Essence just because you like Alicia. They start talking, and then Max fears that Essence could have heard that he has a crush on Alicia. And it turns out he was right. Essence did hear that. When they confront, she says nothing important, nothing like my sister. So Max tries to bribe her with a candy bar to keep her shut. She keeps the candy bar but forces him to give up his Game Boy to shut up. Leo convinces Max that he made a poor trade because Essence is the worst secret lured around on the family. She's spoiled the endings to movies, birthdays, surprise parties, and many more secrets. Because due to her inability to shut up. So Max then decides to go back and reveals that if he has to tell Alicia about his crush, it should come from him. It should come from him, not by his sister accidentally blurting it out. And Alicia accidentally comes home from work early and is here. and reveals that she always liked him but never said anything because she wasn't sure that Max felt the same way. And this plot right here begins their relationship, and that's how the series, and that's how this plot in the series ends. The series ends in the A plot, but that's how this plot is built, and this is what the entire series was building to right here. So at least right there, they ended the franchise on a good note. Ended the franchise on a good note. Now let's talk about the others before we talk about the stuff we didn't like. The other episodes. We got the other episodes. Then you got the episode we got episode 1, the Great Switcheroo, where Sydney wants to paint, where Sydney wants to redo her room. And this plot was okay, but it was the B plot with Max having to deal with being the shortest in school. That was more exciting. Then you got the much superior mentor episode, where the mentor, this episode plot was okay, but it was the B plot where Max and Leo, for the first time ever, by Vice Principal Romani and Vice Principal Romani and I keep forgetting that woman's name, but she's in an episode of season 2. They get quote unquote split up and put into different classes and get their schedule classes in different classes for the first time. Then episode 3, She's All That, the much superior She's All That, where Alicia Reynolds makes her grand return to the series and just starts working at Just Funny Games. Also in the A plot, Harry makes his grand return. So two returns from characters who were introduced in season 2. The next episode also centers around them too. Centers around 3 Anitas and a Harry. Then you got Harry's final appearance in Boy's Story. And this episode, this is the first episode where Max and Alicia fight for the first time. Then episode 6, My Best Friends, where A plot was okay. The songs Find My Own Way and Leave Me Behind are mentioned in this episode right here. So this episode is a direct sequel to those season 2 episodes, and the B plot, Instant Messenger, has hit the 90s, and Max wants to use it to talk to Alicia online. He accidentally talks to Bucky, who has the same username as Alicia. And this one, I thought Bucky was going to end up being gay or something like that, but it just turns out when Max said he liked Alicia more than a friend, Bucky thought it was for him to admit Max liked him as a best friend. But I was like, man, but great episode. So yeah, I think this is Bucky's actual final appearance. So yeah. Great episode for Bucky's final appearance. Sucks we never got to see who he was in the present. I was looking forward to seeing who Bucky was in the present. Then you got episode 9. This was a good episode. Episode 9. Man, I feel like a genius. Olive and Sydney fight for the first time, and Max and Alicia Reynolds fight for the second time. This was a good episode, but it was overshadowed by the horrible episode of Raven's Home, Say Yes to the Protest, which made it difficult to focus on this episode right here. But it's much more exciting to watch in reruns than it was during the premiere. Then you got episode 10. What's Eating Olive Rizolsky, which centers around both plots centered around divorcing parents. Great episode, but I wish they could have did more with this plot, especially so how the rest of Olive's family reacted to the divorce. Her mother and father, who were divorcing, didn't even appear in this episode. B plot was phenomenal. With Alicia trying to help Max prepare dinner to get his family back together. Then you got episode 13. Episode 13, A Crush of Their Own. Max develops a crush on Sydney's music teacher, and in the past, Kid Leo develops a crush on I can't forget that woman's name, but she looks just like Alicia. I thought it was Alicia for a moment, who was a ninth grader. Anyway, this plot was good. This episode was okay, but it felt like a filler episode. The two love interests we never saw again, and the show is over now. So yeah, like I said, it's exciting to watch on its own, but it's even worse now because now the show is over. Just a filler episode. Then you got the next episode, the Jingle episode. Both plots were both mediocre. Episode was okay. The B plot was obviously better, but it was a quote unquote another filler episode. Filler episode. Then you got the episode Best Buy. This was probably Family Buy. This was probably the best filler episode where the 90s, where in the A plot, Sydney gets a boat prize and a tub prize from her deceased grandmother. I think her deceased aunt. I think her great deceased aunt. Anyway, Grandma Judy and adult Max fight over which prize she should choose. Max wants the boat. Grandma Judy wants the hot tub. So in the B plot, this plot was lame, but it's good when you watch the B plot. In the B plot, Max wants to go to several big events like hip hop concerts, but Judy, even with supervision and various other things, Judy keeps forbidding him from going, even though Max keeps trying to convince her, and Max holds a grudge against Judy for it. Judy couldn't bring herself to tell him in the past, but she tells him in the future. She was forced to say no because those events were expensive and they were in danger of losing the house. And she didn't want to tell Max that because Max should enjoy being a kid. As a kid, he shouldn't have to think about stuff like that. So yeah, but those were the filler episodes. Those were the other episodes, and those 3 episodes right there were the worst episodes. So yeah, this was my review of Sydney to the Max. Now, time for my rant. Time for my quote unquote rant. This pissed me the fuck off, and I'm still mad. It already 2022 haven't even started, and I was in a foul mood for the rest of the day. It took me going outside, and that's what it takes, me going outside or finding other ways to cope with it, doing other activities to cope with the cancellation. The cancellation, and that was the cancellation of City to the Max. The Any Given Sunday's Brunch season 3 finale made it seem like we can end the show here if we want to. But we can also continue in the future. But for now, the show is over. They're gonna tease us 3 times. They teased us 3 times with a series in season 4, continuation and renewal with a new episode, City to the Max bumper playing late at night. Season 2 bumper playing late at night, which they also played for season 3. Then also we saw Kristen J. Simon and Leo and Oliver Zolsky on the Disney Magical Bake Off show with Isaac Ryan Brown, Booker, and the other girl from, I think her name is Dana Bonet, something like that. From she's currently on High School Musical the series, and she was the bad guy in the Freaky Friday remake. The Freaky Friday quote unquote remake. And we saw Sydney with the other Afro-American woman, with the other female Disney Channel stars in the live-action musical video remake of the Hercules song Almost There. Almost There. Now, all of these were obviously filmed at an earlier date, but why would they show them so close to the season finale if you weren't going to have a season 4? I had an argument with a fan defending Disney Channel's garbage. And if you weren't coming back for season 4, why would you tease people like that with a season 4? There's even a YouTube video with them confirming season 4 and multiple websites that turn out to be false websites confirming a season 4. Why would you do that? Why you announce in the beginning that season 3 will be the last if you weren't coming back for a season 4? And that's what made me mad. And now, all of them, all the 2019, all the late 2010 shows are gone now, with the exception of Raven's Home and Bump. And if you could renew Raven's Home and Bump, why couldn't you do the same for City to the Max, Gabby Duran, Just Roll With It, and Cooper and Cammy Ask the World? They say dumb stuff like COVID and ratings, yet those shows had to deal with COVID, and those shows also had lower ratings. Your entire channel has lower ratings. Nobody's watching your channel anymore. and they blame it on today's shows when it's because of the 2011, 2016 shows. And I'm sick of hearing about Disney, the streaming services. Yes, streaming services are great, but if television and shows are good, people will watch. Disney Channel sucked for 5 years, from 2011 through 16, and people just got fed up with Disney Channel, fed up with Disney Channel. You can't make garbage for several years. They come back in 2017. It started with Andy Mack and Raven's Home. This is when live action sitcoms, they started actually trying. From 2011 through 16, they were just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. Seeing what sticks. Sticks. Yeah. So and now this show is going. This show hasn't been announced as canceled yet, but Ruth Ruhi on her Instagram post announced that it was canceled. That's another thing. Not announcing it yourself, having actors and actresses come out confirming cancellation. She said She said she was reading the last table scripts for season 3, and I guess it's been a fun ride. She didn't say that there was no that it wouldn't return for a season 4. She just said it was the last ride, yeah, every other website and its channel and confirming its cancellation is its page on Disney Now is gone, which I was worried. They started deleting episodes on the Disney Now page. Then they removed the page from the selection of shows. You had to search for the show. Then they removed the show from the page entirely. Its production website is still up though, so it's gone. I guess in the future they'll announce its cancellation. Every website, the only website that announces its cancellation besides this Wikipedia page is International Movie Database, which has a 2019 through 21. Well, this series, watching it again was so awesome that I don't want to do the what I'm made of. So I'm gonna end it with the Back in Time song. So with that being said, you want to hear the rest of the music? Turn the video off right now.
What are we doing now? We're coming back for more. Is it me or have we been here before? Why don't we go somewhere that we can explore? So let's get away from here, run to where the skies are clear, and we'll go back in time to another world where we'll feel alive. We won't have to worry with you by my side. There's nowhere we can go, and you can be my guide, as long as you don't run too slow. Take me there, take me anywhere you want to go, to a place that we both know. With you here, there is nothing left for us to fear. We'll make the bad guys disappear. So let's